Hello, third graders. It's time for another lesson in math. Today we are going to work on lesson 4.2, and we are going to focus on line plots. In a little bit, we'll get more in depth about what a line plot is and how you can use it. But first, a number talk. And today it's an answer it, prove it. So let's look at our questions towards the bottom of the page. It says, which number is closest to 250? When I look at my numbers, I have 229, 315, 299. But it also says to prove it. Well, down here, I have a number line. So I'm going to prove which one it's closest to by putting that number where I think it would belong on the number line. And when I'm thinking 229, I think it's closer to 200. Oh, it says which one is closest to 250. I'm sorry. 250. I think 229 is closer to 250. But I have to prove it. So here's 200. There's 300. And if I put a tick line here in the middle, that's going to be about 250. So 229, it's in between 200 and 250, and I'm going to say I'd probably put it about right here. So I'm saying that 229 is closer to 250. That's the closest one of those numbers to 250. Okay, now we're going to try the next one. Which two numbers are closest together? Well, I already have 229 on the number line. I might as well put 299 on the number line. It's going to go about right there. And 315, well, here's 350. I'm going to say 315 is going to go about right there. So when I look at what numbers are closest, here's 229, there's 299, and here's 315. Definitely 299 and 315 are closest. And I've already proven it because I have them on the number line where I think they should be. Then the last one, which number, if rounded to the nearest hundred, is 200 or 300? Well, if I'm going to round to the nearest hundred, I'm going to prove it. I already have them on the number line. So here's 229. And when I look at 229, it's closer to 200 than to 300. So if I was going to round 229 to the nearest, 100, I would say 200. And 315 and 299, well, they're both closer to 300 than the other hundreds. Here's 315 right here, and wow, this is 400. It's way far away from 400. It's really close to 300. So both of these, if I would round it to the nearest hundred, this would be 300, and this one would also be 300. And I've proven it because I'm showing it right down there on the number line. Now for some mental math, but feel free to have your whiteboard marker and eraser out, because we know if you're solving problems and you're stuck, you can, when in doubt, draw it out. So our first one, there are 5 rows of chairs with 5 chairs in each row. How many chairs are there in all? Well, I know that if I have 5 rows and there's 5 in each row, here's the important thing here, 5 in each row. That means I can count by 5s. And I just need to count by 5 times. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. For this one, I did not necessarily need to do a when in doubt, draw it out, or make an array, because this is the important part right here, where it's telling me how many are in each row. And sometimes that's a number that we can count quite easily, just in our heads. The next problem. A pencil box has 4 rows of 4 pencils in each row. How many pencils does it have in all? Well, we've got 4 rows, and there's 4 in each row. Okay, and our last row of 4. Now there's a couple ways that I can go about trying to figure out the answer for this guy. I could count each X all by itself, but man, that could take a long time. But if I know that there's 4 in a row, then I can add these 2 rows together. 4 plus 4 is 8. And if these 2 rows are 8, then these 2 rows have to be 8. And I know that 8 plus 8 is 16. So the answer is 16 pencils. And one more. A patio has 8 rows of bricks and 8 bricks in each row. Now this one is definitely a problem where I'm going to, when in doubt, draw it out, because I just can't figure out 8 times 8 in my head, and that's fine. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you know what? I'm just going to try something here. I could keep going with my X's. Of course, absolutely I could. But I also know that there's going to be 8 plus 8 in those 2 rows. So each row has 8. Come on, back it up there, buddy. I'm trying to erase that 8, guys. Hang tight. There we go. So if I know that this has 8, the first row has 8, and the second row has 8, that's going to be 16. So that means those 2 rows will have 16, and these 2 rows will have 16, and these 2 rows will have 16. Okay, and maybe I can do this, and maybe you need to do the X's and finish the array and count all the X's. Either way is fine and dandy. But I also know that 16 plus 16 is 32. So if those 2 16s are 32, then these 2 16s are 32. And I add that together, and I'm going to get 64. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I would finish that array and count each and every one of those X's, guess what I'm going to get? That's right. I'm still going to get 64 bricks. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. It might get a little smelly at your house when you do this, but I apologize. I want you to find some shoes. I want you to go around and gather one of several pairs of shoes. And it gets a little smelly with the smell of feet. Go ahead and plug your nose. But what I want you to do, now remember yesterday we worked with rulers, so I want you to measure your shoe length and several other shoes in your house to the nearest ½ inch. And it says to write the measurements on sticky notes, or just write them on little pieces of paper. They don't have to be sticky notes. And then talk to someone at home about how to organize the notes to see how many people have about the same length of shoes. So go get shoes, measure them, write down to the closest ½ inch the length of each shoe, write it on a piece of paper, come back, and I'm going to talk you through how to organize those measurements into a line plot. And go. Okay, so I have 8 brothers and sisters. So I'm saying I took one of each of their shoes and I measured it to the closest ½ inch. And I put their Post-it notes. I'm putting them in rows. So all my 9 inches, my 9.5 inches, 10 inches, 10.5 inches, and 11 inches. Okay? So I have one person in my family with a 9-inch shoe, one person with a 9.5 inch shoe, one with a 10-inch shoe, 2 with 10.5-inch shoe and 4 with an 11-inch shoe. So what do you notice about the shape of this little graph that I have going here? Well, there are more, I'm going to call them post-it notes, above the 10.5 and 11-inch shoe. And I'm thinking that's because my brothers and sisters are grown up, they're adults, and they have pretty big feet. Which measurement occurs most often? 11 inches occurs most often. And so what's the longest length of shoe in my family? It's 11. So that is the maximum length, which means the longest. And 9 inches is the minimum length, which means the shortest. Maximum means the longest or the most. Minimum means the shortest or the smallest. So now I'm going to take my family's data to complete a line plot. A line plot is a way for me to organize my information, to organize my data. Okay? So, I have a name or a title for my line plot. It's family shoe lengths. And I measured everything in inches. And then down here I wrote the lengths. 9, 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to record my data. Each X means 1. So I had one shoe at 9 inches, one shoe at 9.5 inches, one shoe at 10 inches, 2 shoes at 10.5 inches, and 4 shoes at 11 inches. So I want you to do that. You're going to use page 103, but you're going to modify it a little bit because at school we're going to be measuring our classmates' shoes. You're not doing that. You're doing your family shoes. So where it says in your class, you're going to just imagine, or you can even cross out the word class and you can write family. Okay, so the title of yours is going to be the same title as mine, family shoe lengths, but your numbers down here are probably going to be different than mine. Okay, and down here, if you were buying gym shoes for your class, of course you're not going to think class, you're going to think family. All right, and this right here would be inches, and here would be some of the lengths that you got when you measured your family's shoes. Here is a line plot that's finished for 4th grade shoe lengths. All right, the data is above it. Each X means 1. So you can go ahead and answer these questions, and it is going to be class because this is a 4th grade class, not a family of shoes. Here's a picture graph for you to complete. You need a key. You need a symbol, remember. So with a picture graph, you need a symbol, and it's going to equal 5 inches of snow. So I'm thinking maybe you could use something like this as your symbol. Kind of looks like a snowflake. And then you have your math boxes to do. Got quite a bit of work to do for lesson 4-2, but a lot of it is stuff that you've already worked on, especially here. You've got tally charts. You're going to make a picture graph. You've used arrays. Here is a name collection box that you've worked on before. You've got some rounding. Again, things that you've done already before. And if you, nope, I think that's it. Sorry. Good luck with everything. If you have any questions, make sure Mom or Dad send me an email.